Hey folks, Kevin here. Wanted to give a short preview of a desktop app I'm building for WebdriverIO that allows you to run WebdriverIO tests via a UI, a user interface. So first we're going to download it. So I'm going to go to the project homepage, hit up the releases page, and then at the top of the list it's going to be the latest release. You will choose the file depending on whether you're running in Linux or Windows or Mac. Since I'm on Mac, I'm going to download the DMG file. Okay, the file's downloaded, so I will double click it. It's going to open up the installer. Then I'll simply drag that over to my applications folder, and it's now installed. I can close out of this, and then I'm going to go open a new Finder menu, and I can go ahead and eject this. Don't need that. Oh, and it closed my Finder menu. Bring that back open. Then I'm going to go to my applications and double click Chester. It asks that it's downloaded from the internet, and yes, I do want to open it. It should be signed, so you shouldn't be getting a security warning. You used to have a security warning that you'd have to go through, but I got it set up to be signed, so that shouldn't be an issue anymore. Okay, I've already got a few projects defined, so I can come in and select a project. If I choose the basic project, it will load that folder, which is defined in there. I can also go and add a new project. So say I want my new project. I would choose the new project, and then from the folder, that would be the folder that contains your configuration file. So if I went into here and went into there, then I could just hit open. And now that's going to be, let's say that's so I don't want this anymore, so I'm going to delete this project, and it'll bring me back to my main screen. I'm going to go to my basic project. It's a very basic project. It just has a configuration file and then a single test. If I double click, it will actually open that test in my text editor of choice. I'm actually thinking about having an editor in here when we get there, but I haven't gotten to that part yet. Now there are a few things you can edit in these tests. One thing is you can change the spec files that you want to run. So you could actually set it to none. We'll take a look at that more. I can also enable and disable capabilities, change the base URL, change the log level. So if I wanted it very verbose, and then I can set environment variables. I can run my test either by clicking the run button or hitting Control R. And then my output's going to come down here. And now I have that full output. If I want to, I can actually expand this up to take a better look at all of it, and then collapse it back down if I'd like to. So I had my test passing and everything works in there. Let's check out a more advanced project. So in this advanced project, we actually have 3 different configuration files. So I can choose which file to run based on selecting from up here. So if I go through the prod file, you notice I have multiple capabilities. I can actually enable and disable these capabilities if I'd like to. So if I just want to run in Chrome, and then I come in here and I can say I only want to run the middle click test in Chrome. Now this is only going to run middle click. I could also turn off my log level if I'd like to, and go ahead and run my tests. I actually got an error here because the Selenium server wasn't running. There's also some error handling if we get into a project that doesn't have a configuration file. You'll see it says that it couldn't find the matching.conf.js file because it's not in there. It does require you to use this conf.js in your configuration file naming pattern. I'm not really sure how to handle that outside of that because I needed to find some way of knowing that this is a configuration file and not just like a .js like ESLint file or anything like that. So if you do find a place where you think it should have loaded it but it didn't, there's this feedback button down here, and you can put your name, email, and feedback and go ahead and send it over. So my name, my email, and then if I hit send, let's see, I want to make sure that it actually sends. That'll actually send an email to me letting me know that something's up, and it'll actually include some system details with it as well. That'll help me out. So this is what I've got going so far. Been working on this for about a month now, off and on, and am really hoping to add some really cool features in it. One thing I'd like to do is like right click and you could run a test. So if I go into like this advanced project and I go into my test, instead of having to choose it here, I'd like to like right click and hit run just this test. Also like to be able to open this up in an editor in place. that'd be really cool. And then you could like run just that test, or you could select like command click or control click multiple tests to run. So say I want to run double click and left click, or just click this folder. Just make it easier for you to be able to run specific tests. Makes it a lot more useful for development. I'd also like to improve this console to be a little bit more interactive. One issue that I have right now is that you can't use debug statements because actually you can stop tests in the middle, but you can't enter any commands kind of like in a REPL situation. REPL is REPL stuff. It'd be nice to also be able to run kind of a standalone WebDriver instance outside of any test using that REPL command. I forgot to mention that you can update the folder if you'd like to. If you got that folder wrong, you just click on this folder path up here. I'd also like to improve the add new project flow. It's kind of bare bones right now. It doesn't really tell you much. Especially the project folder, you might get confused about what folder that should be. It'd also be nice if you wanted to create like a completely new project to be able to have like a kind of a wizard thing going where it will guide you through the setup, kind of the way the WebdriverIO config setup works. One final thing I want to do is create profiles. I thought that'd be really cool. So rather than having to come in and change these all the time, and like if you have a specific set way you run your tests, kind of storing this as a profile locally. So it wouldn't save it to a configuration file, but you would have it like in a drop-down menu. Okay, this is my prod middle click test, and you could run that, and it's always going to have the log level of silent or whatever, and then these specific environment variables. I think that'd be pretty cool. So a lot of work to do. I'd love to hear your feedback on it. Let me know if I'm headed in the right direction, or if you find any use out of this. Either download it yourself and try it out if you can. Leave a comment on this video if you don't want to leave any feedback through the feedback thing, or open an issue in the GitHub page. However you can give feedback, I'd love it. So let me know what you think. Thanks.